Okay, we'll start again. Um, so welcome, Kalinda. It's lovely to have you with us and with me today. And what we're going to be doing is chatting a little bit about your journey through Advanced Awareness Level 1. And I'm just really curious, really, to hear more about your arc in terms of the journey that you took through the program.
Mm.
But also just would love to, yeah, like if you could introduce yourself to anyone watching and just let us know a little bit about your life and all the amazing things that you're looking after right now.
Hi everyone, I'm Kalinda and I am mama to Bella.
Mm.
I I love working with women and with children in circles and holding spaces in different capacities. And I guess the trajectory of us today is about how that is starting to shift some of that work that I'm doing.
Mm,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. Okay, well, so here are my questions. This is what I'm really
Okay.
curious to know. So in terms of the call to actually leap in and do advanced awareness, what was happening in your life that like what was it an agitation and you were looking for something, or was there just a soul level calling? I'm curious, like what was going on that really motivated you to jump in and start that journey?
I think it was a little bit of both, actually. I had flagged it probably about 18 months ago. I was living in WA at the time. I really felt the pull towards it, but it felt inaccessible in terms of just the distance. And I had an 18-month-old baby and things like this. So, but that niggle just, it wouldn't leave. It just kept staying. And despite all the other things washing in and out,
Mhm.
it really just stayed there. And I found in my life that in the lead up, lots and lots of things were coming up. There was already this kind of pre-shift, except for at that point, I didn't really understand it. I just knew that there was this lots of things rising up to the surface that were asking to be, uh, just wanted to be listened to and met. And I didn't really know what to do with a lot of it. I was kind of walking myself through with the tools that I had. But
Mm,
at the same time, I think more than anything, even though I probably actually didn't really understand what it was, what even advanced awareness was, but I really just had this like, it's for me, it's for me, it's for me. And I remember still being in WA and thinking, my partner going like, if you don't do it, we'll make it happen. You'll catch a flight or we'll move there or it'll just do it.
yeah.
And it was such an amazing feeling to take hold of that.
Mm,
And yeah, from I think even from that moment of jumping in and
mm,
continuing, that was the start. And so
mm.
yeah.
It's so interesting. I love that. So just to clarify, the the program just was in the ethers for a while,
Mm,
and it sounds like it was more of a like yeah, like a soul calling in terms of activating the yes of jumping into it. It's so interesting because there's so many people that I know have done the program that have said to me once they're in it, I didn't really even know what I was saying yes to. I just knew I had to do it. It sounds like that's a bit similar for you. Yeah.
100%, 100%. And I am so um grateful even for that part of myself that recognized that.
Mm,
And there were so many other things that I would have needed more proof, more warning for, but this was like, I'm coming for you. Say yes, say yes.
yeah.
So,
So interesting.
mm,
Okay. Well, so that's great. So you did it, you leapt in, and
mm,
and then once you were in the program, so the first section
mm,
is this online part. And so because I know so many people have everyone has such mixed feelings about online. But I was just curious, how did you find that? Because you're a busy mama and you've got a
yeah.
life and yeah, the online calls and just the movement towards the Soul Quest weekend as well that we had in
Mm.
that.
I actually that's probably one of my unexpected parts.
Mm.
I really gravitate towards in-person things, less drawn to online things, but in this particular instance, I loved it. I think because there were some really unique practices, um, and I just fell in love. It just opened this doorway for me where I was just being invited into such a creative space in myself. And
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time as adults we're asked to really open that doorway. Like, and without necessarily the physical expression. So you don't necessarily have to dance or paint or do all those things, but just to go within. And what does it look like when you go wild within, when all of that is, you know, when you take off all the little constraints about the way you think and you're just left with, you know, what what if there are no limits? You know?
You're
And
all power. You're all
yeah,
powerful. Mm.
and that, oh, like who doesn't want to feel like that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah, so and I think each month we kept um building on that, and that was a really exciting feeling. It was something that I really looked forward to, especially being a mum. So I had very minimal amounts of time I had to be very selective in what I was going to, where I was going to spend my time. And I 100% feel that this was just, it just added to my life in a really personal way, but it also added to my capacity to mother
Mm.
because it was giving me this place to come back to myself really constantly. I was doing these practices again and again, and the more I did it, the better I felt, and the more capacity I had to give. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That I experienced that myself when I first started to do the work was these meditation practices and the nature of these practices is that we think, oh, it's something I've got to do every day and it's like an extra thing on the to-do list. But for me, it was the same. Actually, no, I had more capacity and
Mm,
I could give more without feeling so taxed because of the practices. So then there was this feedback loop of, hang on, like I finally found a pathway for power, personal
yeah.
power. Yeah. So
Um,
would that be the sort of thing, would that be what the thing that you didn't expect? If there was like one thing that you went in and you were like, I didn't expect this, and then there it was.
yeah, I think the that online component, I didn't expect to get so much from it.
Mm.
And so really I was expecting, oh, we'll do a couple of things, online things, and then the real chunky bit will be in there. And obviously there is, such potent, beautiful things that happen when we get together.
Yes.
But I was really amazed and at how much I got from that online container. And that was really the thing that actually probably held all the stuff that we did in person.
Yeah.
Without it, I wouldn't have had the skills to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, really.
Mm. Well, that was my next question is I'm always curious the movement from online and then the group energy was building, particularly your group as well. There was a lot of momentum building in that group, coming towards everyone getting to actually spend time together in person. Maybe just, like first impressions, even like when you first arrived and the feeling and what it was like to actually be with everybody in person on that beautiful country as well.
Mm.
Mm.
It was such a funny mix actually. Like
Mm.
I arrived, I said goodbye to my baby, and I felt this immediate like, oh, this goodbye. It's really hard to go,
Mm.
right? Um, and all these women that I'd been speaking to online were suddenly there in person, and I felt like, and I saw their faces react as I saw that, and they were like, oh, like we've got you. We feel that, and we see you in that. And we've all just said our own goodbyes as well. So it was really beautiful to not have to perform any okayness in
Yeah.
that space immediately, just to be able to go, oh, that's that is hard, and I don't have to show up and say, oh, I'm all okay because I'm coming into this thing and I want to put on my best face,
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah.
that was, yeah, that was really beautiful.
I love that because that's the thing that I love the most about the work too, is it does feel like one of the core kind of human expressions of it is just real authenticity. And
Yeah.
and there's no need to be something you're not in the space.
Mm,
Um, okay, so then I'm curious then in terms of the retreat,
mm.
it's pretty chunky. Like it's like we
It's gnarly.
gnarly, hey? And like all that work online really is about
Mm,
making sure that everybody is ready to take that sort of, because we really do accelerate the sort of energetic power that you have access
mm,
to.
mm.
And to do that, we have to make sure you have yourself, that
Yeah.
the part of us that wants to put the foot on the brake because it's not safe when we get big and powerful. We actively tend that and work with that, but then we do put our foot on the accelerator and we play with the truth of our energetic power as humans, and a lot more really. I don't know, like I'm just curious, like what was it like for you in the doing of that at the retreat for your own self?
That's a chunky question.
I know.
Um,
Wild, hey?
yeah, it was undoing. It was undoing in a really great way. I think you have this, you're like the embodiment of this beautiful ancient wisdom, but you're weaving together all of these things, from modern science and in a really um, contemporary and relatable way. And so
Mm,
I found myself really putting down a lot of things that I didn't even realize that I was doing, the way I wanted to show up, the way I wanted to control things, the way um I had all these little parts, tucked away. And as we moved through the week, and I stopped pushing these parts of myself, into hiding.
mm,
And yeah, I just I found a lot of love for myself out there. And I think in the space, not that it's all perfect or I'm all perfect now, but in the space of, you know, coming into more wholeness, all the things that I'd been pushing away, I actually realized had so much, that all those pieces were parts of actually the bigger picture of my life. And I
mm,
I likened it recently to doing a puzzle. And usually you know what the puzzle looks like before you
mm.
start the puzzle. Well, this
Yes.
time I don't know what the puzzle looks like, but as I went along, I found all of these pieces starting to click together, things that I thought had nothing to do with advanced awareness, things that were about my life that were completely, I thought, separate and unrelatable. And suddenly they were all moving together and clicking in a way. Um, but yeah, just stitching myself back together, maybe.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Amazing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and the image that's coming to me too is that your group were just so, you just bonded. Like I think if they were all here right now, they'd probably be saying very like similar themes, unique to them, but similar themes. But what I saw was happening particularly by that halfway mark and towards the end of the week, the group were just sitting by the campfire and they were just so in with each other and so much comfort and belonging um and it was just, yeah, for me as well, it was just a very, very potent feeling of cohesion.
Mm.
So maybe I'm just curious about that too, because
Mm.
I think sometimes people don't, so it's a big thing to join a group,
Yeah.
people that you don't know, and, am I going to be accepted? And is this really going to be my
Mm.
tribe? And all those sorts of things. So I'm just curious about what that piece was like for you.
Yeah.
Mm,
We we actually spoke about that and we thought, how did they put us together and land us so perfectly? Did they go out and, like use this? But, considering we're across a whole bunch of different ages and backgrounds, but it's amazing what happens with people when you start really showing up as yourself and you're really invited to just come as you are. And I
Mm,
think when there's a willingness
mm,
in so many people there to just to show up as themselves. And then there's that openness to accept other people how they are. So I was so fortunate to be met with such beautiful, beautiful women. And even now we're still in contact really regularly. There's lots of messages on in our chat, but once a month we're still meeting up and connecting and doing either some of the practices or something, some kind of healing thing together. But it's beautiful. I think that will be that group will stay with me for just such a long, long time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm also just curious, like, is there a highlight from the retreat that you'd feel comfortable sharing without obviously, just
Yeah.
not to your own magical way, but just something that was a magic moment or something that you can share?
Mm. There were so many, honestly. It's I think I came away with such a deep sense of clarity.
Mm,
We we'd gone out in the power quest. We
mm,
hadn't known what to expect. And when I walked back down, I I had one of my group members, she was the last one by the fire, and I was so raw and I was just wide open. And I'd been humbled that night again and again and again. But I came back with so much clarity in myself, um, with all the steps that I needed to do in myself. But I think in terms of my sense of purpose and moving through the world from that point, I really, I really had before I'd been stuck in this place about all of my own insecurities and why I couldn't go out and do something. And I was really focused on myself in that. And that night, or in that process, uh, I experienced a real shift away from focusing on myself and focusing to being in service to others. And that really moved the dial in what I was willing and how I was willing to show up in the world, because it wasn't about me anymore. And it wasn't about, I'm not good at this or I can't do this, or, all these limiting beliefs stopping me or letting me hold myself back, and becoming um becoming in service to others and letting that drive me. And yeah, that's been life changing, I think. Yeah.
amazing. Mm. Thanks, Kalinda. Well, that was my next question. What has been life like? Like, what's it been like on the other side? Because that's always that's really uh,
Mm.
the true test, isn't it, of any
Yeah.
body of work, is that when you go home, that there is a real shift, and there's a shift sometimes, it's sustained. That's the key,
Mm.
I think. But yeah, I'm just curious, like what's been maybe the core thing, if there's one core thing that you've noticed that's different or that's carrying through from the work.
Um, I think there's probably kind of work together, but I think one is actually movement. So the difference between thinking about something and having all of these great ideas and letting them scatter out around, and then actually just stepping in and creating in the world. And I think one of the key pieces that I didn't have, we're talking about, finding all of those parts within yourself to love and
Mm,
recognizing that they are such key pieces in what you go out and do in the world, that they're actually the bits of magic that
mm,
change and reshape everything. And so before I had been really compartmentalizing parts of my life. I was showing up fully in some ways and then really limiting or um, just being a lot smaller. And then after this, I really just started being more of who I am everywhere.
mm,
So it was less about um, other people's perception of me and me needing to belong to something by being a certain way, and then more about just loving myself enough to show up fully. And when I started moving from that place from in just a much deeper way, things are literally moving in my life, you know? So yeah.
absolutely amazing. And I'm curious then how when you say things are moving, um I know I heard you speak about that a part of the process of being in the training that there's been an emergence of a deeper commitment to working with young women and
Mm.
rites of passage for young women. Anyone who's listening, I would highly encourage you to contact Kalinda and check check in with her about the work she's offering and will be offering. But I'm just curious about that piece. Like, when did that show up? How did that show up? And is that all connected to this
Mm.
shift that you're talking about?
Absolutely. So I think, we were talking about before all these little pieces of my life that I hadn't considered were a part of advanced awareness and that were being stitched together. I'd
Mm,
found, I had a teaching background and a love of working with kids, and I'd been doing women's circles and particularly across motherhood, and a real deep appreciation for First Nations cultures in Australia and across the world, and all of this beautiful wisdom that is missing from today, and
mm,
all of this beautiful wisdom that actually exists within women just as they are. And if they're given the time to come back to themselves, how much of this they'll naturally bring out. And so I'm really interested in blood rights. I believe, all women's rites of passage are blood rights,
mm,
and that when we reconnect with this part of ourself as something that is sacred versus something that is dirty or shameful or to be kept quiet, we come back to that, what our matriarchal societies have always known, that the seasons and cycles of women's life, they're the embodiment of Mother Earth and all of the beauty that we both share and are connected to. So,
mm, mm.
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and getting to honor young girls through that, through as they have their first baby, is a beautiful, a beautiful coming home for them.
Mm, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
And yeah, amazing. So it sounds like there's a blossoming in terms of that work that's happening for you
Mm.
right now as a part of the after effect of
Yeah.
going through the work. And I know you're also coming to level two, so that'll continue. And you've also done, recently you did a very beautiful sacred vision quest as well. So you're really deep in the work, and I really see you in that, your commitment to
Mhm.
yourself in that way. Um,
Mm.
I'm curious, just as a parting thought, is there like if you were thinking of someone's considering doing advanced awareness, maybe a woman similar to yourself, what would you say? Like what um, words of advice or words of wisdom?
Mm. I would say if you are feeling that call towards advanced awareness, and as you stalk your socials profiles and read the website, and you're not even sure exactly is what it is that you're being called to do, but you feel that pull anyway, just trust it. You know, that's you're talking about something that is a soul level calling, and answering that that's going to change the entire way you live your life. You know? So yeah, just listening to that. Mm. I, yeah.
Thanks, Kalinda. That's so beautiful.
Worries. No
Yeah,
worries.
yeah, I really appreciate you spending time chatting with us today. Yeah, really wonderful. Thanks.
Thanks, Katie. I appreciate you and oh, all the amazing stuff that you pull together and weave from just decades of work,
Mm.
and manage to pull together for so many different kinds of people that are all coming away going, wow, this is actually this is time tested,
Yeah,
wise, wonderful stuff that's actually real and
yeah,
works.
yeah. It's actually real. I
Yeah.
know. It is. And that's one of, I think, the most critical things for me these days. And
Mm.
my life has forced me to burn anything off that didn't really see me through my own
Mhm.
Night of the Dark Soul, plural. And so I think that obviously that shines through in the work, that there is this real sense of grounded, real world
Mm.
relatability to it, because otherwise it's just, we can all go away and feel good at a retreat when we're not in our lives. But it's when we're in our lives that we really need something to show up for us. So yeah, it's good. I'm glad to hear that because that's definitely how we've designed it and how I wanted to design the
Mm.
work. Yeah.
I've done other things in the past that definitely had a looks good, but a perhaps a little bit more of a performative element to it. And I think what you would what you are offering is something that it's a very tangible and also a felt sense. And I think when people are feeling that call, that that's what they're already linking into. And they're already feeling that pull that's saying, this is on a completely different level. But
Yeah.
you just have to trust it. And that's actually the start. That's the that's where the training begins, is your own willingness to say yes to that.
100%. And can I say that's the slipstream, that sort of soul aligned life
Mm.
where the soul is the actual North Star for how we're making decisions in life. It changes everything, transforms everything. And for me, it's just like there's always hope when you're in that place. And there's so many stories out there that are just so depressing, and there's so many ways to
Mm.
get so bogged down in life. But it's impossible, I think, if you're living from the magic of your own soul. Yeah.
It there is something, and I like I'm starting to know a bit more of this. Uh, I'm having these senses also come through from doing this work with you, and it what it means also is like being okay with being uncomfortable in the unknown,
Mm.
but in following in getting more comfortable with following the pools, even though I don't know where they're headed, giving up the big picture plan. But like you said, that joy, there's this real, like, actually feeling what life genuinely has to offer you, like real unbridled joy. But you have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to let go of the vision you had, the vision you had, because you start saying yes to your soul, and it's not going to keep you on that track anymore. That's
No.
going to throw you way off.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
Mm.
it's the best, but it can be terrifying. It can be
Yeah.
terrifying the moment until once you like start stepping over that bridge and leaning in, then
Mm.
you start getting it back. Things start happening in your life. You're like, this is what happens when I listen. This is what happens when I answer the call and the pull, and things start to grow and move and weave around you, and you think, oh, there's actually real magic in this life.
Oh,
And
100%. Yeah, I'm so grateful you're sharing that because I think just for anyone too who's listening and feels stuck,
Mm,
it's just yeah, sometimes feeling stuck can just become our dominant identity, and
mm,
we don't even realize that becomes our baseline we always fall back to.
yeah,
And yeah, but sometimes I do think it does take, I mean, this advanced awareness, it's 5 to 6 months for a very good reason.
yeah,
Actually does take that long to create a shift where on the other side of it, it's sustained and you're in a different reality.
mm,
You actually made the transition. It's an initiation into a different type of world that's
mm,
more fully just embodied. Um, and yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying about that. And it's been my experience too. And I've seen it happen so many times that if we just have faith, really, it's not really about, it's faith in our own self and the depth of our own true magic, that we do have a more permanent part of our identity and
mm,
that we can trust that and it's safe to trust that and that it will care for us. And I
yeah.
love that idea of leaning in there and how scary that can feel when we're, well, all the time, I think. I think it's just part of it. That edge of, excitement and fear. I think that's always the way it is, no matter what
Yeah.
stage you're at, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're often now conditioned to give ourselves that through going to theme parks and
Yeah.
we're actually looking for it. We give ourselves these tiny touch, but if you give yourself permission to step into that feeling in the real way,
Yeah.
not in the entertainment version, but in that very real sense in your own life, then the high of the ride doesn't last for 60 seconds, it just continues. It keeps going because you're stepping into that place where it's a part of you now. You've reshaped something. So yeah. I you'd
Yeah.
said something before about when you're stuck and it's before you make that move. And
Mm,
that was something that I found over that time of advanced awareness one. And I was really I'd been in this loop. I'd been in it since I was a child. I wasn't even aware that I was in it. But I was so sensitive to the way that other people felt about me.
mm,
And I would feel their reaction to me and, deeply wanting to belong, modify myself so that I could fit or be accepted or feel loved. And I didn't realize that from such a young person, I had taken that strategy and just applied it across so many areas of my life. And so I wasn't even aware that I was constantly going, put myself out there, see how I'm felt or received by another person, and then make this adjustment so that I
mm,
could try and belong to a place. And over the time that we spent together doing that work, I really found myself um, not only having that awareness of other people's energy and mine, so could actually start to go, oh, that's not me. But
wow.
all those parts that I was then bringing in and going, oh, it's safe to love me. It's safe to love these parts that maybe other people don't. But I can, and I can give that to myself. And I started to realize how much belonging comes from within. And that was a really powerful shift because when I wasn't trying to belong to other people anymore,
Mm,
and I was coming back to sensing that belonging for myself, once you apply, a bit more clarity and purpose with that,
mm.
that's such an amazing feeling to be out in the world in. And I want everybody to have that,
Oh, I know.
you
I know.
know?
Me too. Me too. Yeah, it's like a type of internal stability
Mm,
that is, yeah, really, really something then. And I think that often what can happen then when the inevitable challenges of life come, um, we just have so much more internal resilience
mm,
to stay anchored to that belonging that you're speaking about,
mm,
and there's a strength there. And,
mm,
and I feel like that is actually, it is everybody's birthright to have that strength. Like I don't think we're doing anything that isn't within. every single human's birthright in this work. It seems magical because we're growing up in a culture that actually asks us to put our power in the things outside of ourselves. And so we spend decades being encultured into this very, very strong sense that
Mm,
there's someone outside of ourselves who knows what's best for us, whether it's our teachers, our parents,
mm,
the media, all of these big forces outside, the politicians, and there's a real reclamation that happens when we actually start to say, no, I belong to my own sense of personal
mm,
rightness and my own soul, and it's a different type of belonging that
mm.
becomes very yeah, people notice it. People
Yeah.
notice it. Yeah, I don't know if that's happened to you, but I've heard that a lot with people that after the work they're like, well, people are noticing there's something different about me. Yeah.
And I think that's, what I was saying when I was talking about the undoing,
Mm.
becoming undone because there's all these parts and it starts so young, can I go to the toilet? Like, do I
Oh,
have to ask permission to pee, to eat, to what time I can sleep and how long for, and to the
yeah.
point that perhaps we're not even conscious that we have constructed lives around ideas that were never ours. And once you start, remove all of the rhythms of daily life out there where you don't have, to cook for other people or to go to work or this, suddenly you're really once you start stripping back those daily structures out there,
Mm.
you're really coming back to, well, what's alive in me that is really truly mine and not that is something that is another person has like put an ingredient in, you know? And you start kind of throwing these messily things out and
Yeah.
kind of like you said, reclaiming those parts. You're like, oh, I actually like that about myself. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Exactly. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Mm.
And then there can be a sense of embracing all of our humanity.
Mm.
And I love that idea of that wholeness that you were speaking about before becomes possible, where you can just really be who you really are, and that's
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, by your own self, it's okay by your own self, and that's a very different type of place to interact from. Mm.
Yeah. I
Mm.
really we did one of the activities out there where we had to talk about our fears and our loves and said it's something that was like sometimes I worry that I don't love all the parts of me and that I really worry that a lot of the world out there actually encourages that in us from a really young age and that's a terrifying thing to actually be promoting within young children. And once you start doing this kind of thing, which is like a totally different kind of education, isn't it? It's like guidance, but it's, you're always saying like, go dirt time, go test it out. Don't do it because I said it.
Yeah.
You go and put your foot out there and see if it works for you. And then suddenly you're like, oh wow, there's there's all this stuff available to me. Um, all these threads that are there to pull on that's just so outside of um what has been said exists.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, there's that too, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a very strong bubble of what reality is.
Mm,
And I think my time, particularly in America, yes, with Tom Brown, but also spending time in Northeast Arnhem Land with all the Indigenous elders there, has shown me just real magic, and the possibilities of yeah, of how we can really reclaim all of our power. And it's a reality that is very different from the day to day
mm,
of the Western world. It really is.
yeah.
Yeah, it goes far beyond, oh, that was an amazing coincidence.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always think there's so much opportunity to understand what um all the various, families and communities that from First Nations people all around Australia, but just how much um wisdom and compassion has already been extended to us already.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's always there and it's there for the taking, it's definitely available, but you start stepping into things like this and you realize there are people that have been embodying this for such a long, long time, and we have so, so much to learn if we are willing to listen. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And it does relate to the modern day. It does.
It's
Um,
timeless. It's
yeah,
eternal, isn't it? Like,
literally. Yeah, literally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, AI or no AI, this actually still. Oh, I really enjoyed chatting to you, Kalinda. I'm
mm,
curious whether maybe we could even check back in after level 2 and do a little part
yeah.
two once once it all sort of the dust settles from that journey. But I'd love to if you're interested, and you can let us know how you're going with your work and that type of yeah, with the rites of passage, because I'd love to support you in that. It's such a
Oh,
beautiful,
thank you. Thank
so
you.
necessary. Like it's just yeah, very necessary work. Really believe in it.
I really do too. So thank you. I'd love that. I just a quick moment there. You
Yeah.
spoke about wholeness and bringing those parts in, and I found
Mm,
myself recently being asked to combine this work that I want to do out in the world, or sort of am and reshaping, but then also in with my family as well. And they've always kind of been two separate spheres. You know, often people that show up to these things, they're people that want it. So sometimes the people in our lives aren't always connected to that work that we're doing. And as I found these two things overlapping, and I found myself going, oh, I haven't always shared this part of myself, knowing that it's not always received well.
mm,
And I sat with a lot of the work that we had been doing in the days leading up to it and thinking about feeling into just the truth of what I'm here to do and how good it feels just to do that anyway.
mm,
And being brave just to share that with everyone, even if I recognize a little bit of uncomfortableness in that,
mm.
especially many generations who haven't grown up,
Yeah.
where rites of passage have been celebrated, and the huge amount of discomfort that they experience in talking about those things, and actually being met with just real acceptance and love. And that has been such a beautiful surprise to have my family respond in a way that I had not expected at all.
Oh,
So yeah, and so yeah, life just moves in mysterious ways,
ah,
and that definitely would not have happened without advanced awareness, because I wouldn't have had that purpose from Vision Quest, and it wouldn't have kept clarifying through advanced awareness, and then actually coming into my life in the wholeness of things, not just in the where I want it to exist, but actually, yeah, in the fullness of it. So
mm.
thank you for
Oh, oh,
that.
like absolute joy. It really is to walk with you, Kalinda. And that's so, yeah, I just know from having my own kids and my own daughter and the rites of passage and looking after girls. Yeah, it's just it's huge that we can bring a very different type of relationship to blood cycles and their
Oh,
initiation. It's massive. So yeah, it's great. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the
Mm,
opportunity and
mm,
for, yeah, walking this road with
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. All right. Well, we will stay tuned for
Yeah.
part two at some point. That would be amazing. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you so much, Katie. See you
Erin.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.